Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Can You Force It? The Animaniacs edition. First, let's start with the graphic. Like, comment, subscribe, lives on the weekends, etc., etc. And then let's get into this because I don't plan on doing another Animaniacs build for the rest of the season. And it's not because it's not strong, it's that I'm kind of sick of it. I've been playing this build almost non-stop since the beginning of 8.0, so yeah. Carousel. You either want to grab an Animaniacs character, or if possible, an Animaniacs character with one component of the Jinx items. Jinx items are Static Shiv, Spear of Sojin, and Rage Blade. It will give you the best chance to wreak havoc. Augments. I like the healing augments if I can get them, although Second Wind isn't the strongest simply because your frontline isn't that strong. So Phony Frontline, yeah, that's a pretty good one to take. Especially since your Pranksters, which is the second part of this build, will be leaving lots of training dummies everywhere. So yeah, this is a pretty good option. Golden Ticket is an excellent augment for this build because you need to get strong champions. Specifically, you need to get Misfortune, or else you have really no chance. Now, in this game, I had gotten Misfortune already, so when I was presented with the hero augments, I find it hard to resist Chrono Break if I already have Misfortune. That stun is going to be key, because it is a long time for champs to be still. If you can get Misfortune with a Rage Blade and a Spear of Sojin, she's going to get very close to casting before that stun is pretty much out. And so this will give you a lot of power. Now, in this first game, thanks to Golden Ticket, we ended up with a gold 3-star Misfortune, a gold Rammus, a gold Nasus, a gold Silas. Yeah, I mean, there was just no stopping this build. We were working on our second 2-star Gnar, but we're down towards the end, and you can see that a gold 3-star Misfortune, who I ultimately also added an Archangel staff to, just wipes a team. This is after she was nerfed, after they had also moved Pranksters up to 4. If you happen to get a Prankster emblem, obviously that's great, but first game, first place, it's a really, really easy build to do. Anima Squad, Pranksters, but we'll move on to Game 2. We start Game 2 with Prismatic Augments, and I cannot resist New Recruit. Again, you just want to find your Anima Squads, which in the beginning are going to be Nasus, Silas, and Jinx. That's your key to starting off so you can get Anima Squad rolling. They are going to be gaining health throughout. If you end up with New Recruit, I like to bring in an additional mascot so I can trigger mascot on Nasus so he can start healing. New Recruit is obviously going to mean a fast start, so as you can see by the second set of augments, we have not lost a match yet just because we've been able to dominate the competition. It's time for augment number 2, and we get the hero augments. Now, I've been asked this on live stream, which one of the Jinx augments I like better, and the answer is that one, and it's because it supports the entire team and not just Jinx. Jinx is strong, but she's not so strong that you can essentially do it alone. I find it better, especially since Misfortune is going to be your cleanup, to give the power to her. And so the support augment that speeds up the entire team's attack is going to be better for the long run of this build. It's time for the final augment in game number 2, and while this isn't a must, if you get a chance for an Anima Squad crest, you grab it, especially since we're running New Recruit here. We're going to have lots of room to fit in lots of champions. In this case, I give it to Rammus because he's just kind of the extra tank on the board. For Misfortune items, I like Rage Blade and Spear of Sojin, presuming I do not have something like Axiom Arc as one of my augments. If I have it, then you don't necessarily need the Spear of Sojin, but I want her casting early and often because her casts are going to devastate teams. This particular game got a little tricky for a while because I was having trouble getting pranksters. I was able to turn Riven into a prankster and then was finally able to get Gnar, but Echo has been incredibly elusive. Now, by the numbers, this game looked like it should have been strong, but we had a lot of trouble, A, getting the pranksters, because we never got the 2-star Gnar. Also, no healing augments at all. So, as we're taking damage and it's not coming back. So a laser team like this that has Thrill of the Hunt 550 is able to just keep staying alive and ultimately get through us, leaving us in 4th place. And that was a tough 4th because you think with 7 and 4, you're gonna be in a better position. But that's how key some of the healing augments are. This one starts with hero augments. And while Mana Tempering would be awesome if I was doing an infinite sure shot, that's not what we're doing. We want to get the Anima Squad. It gives us Nasus, Soul Eater. That's like having a team-wide Thrill of the Hunt, at least the first level, because everyone is going to get 300 health back every time someone on your team gets a kill. Now, I just want to show Soul Eater in action here because this particular match looks like it's going bad, but each time one of their champs dies, everyone heals 300. Now, obviously, this is a stronger augment early game when 300 means a lot more because it can bring you back to full, but it still will help a little bit late game, especially if Misfortune can wipe out a whole wave of people. It is time for our second augment, and Axiom Arc is a no-brainer for me. Again, if Misfortune wipes out a whole group of people, she is going to gain 30 mana back per person she's wiping out, so she might cast again very, very quickly. Now, some other general items to consider if you get the chance to make an Anima Squad emblem, which is a spatula and needlessly large rod. I like to put it on Gnar if you have him. That will help him be tankier. If you're in danger of getting a gold 3-star Silas, the Warmogs works excellent because his damage is based off his maximum health, so it will allow him more shielding and more damage, and that will help your team overall. But in the end, no matter how you set up, the game is going to hinge on getting Misfortune, and there are a lot of other builds that compete for her. Jeweled Lotus, easy take because it will allow Misfortune to crit. Once you can get her into the game, you want to give her items that'll speed up her attack or allow her to crit more often. We're at a little bit of a loss here because we do not have any really good items for Misfortune at this time. We can potentially reforge things or just hope we get better items going forward. We can always start with something like Thieves' Gloves and then reforge them if you have a reforger. If not, be a little careful with that move. But also take your augments into account. If you have Axiom Arc and you have something like Soul Eater, you have healing, you have mana generation. So even when they Shroud of Stillness you have a good chance of building up to getting your ult, and then it shouldn't be that difficult to get to the next level of it. This game came down to a 1v1 against an Animaniacs team. So Animaniacs versus Animaniacs, yes, they can both end up in the Final Four and as the top 2. They had a huge advantage because their Misfortune has a Mana Zane, so she's going to be able to cast much more often. I left the Thieves' Gloves on, so I was relying on pure luck as to what I would get and hoped that I could pull this off anyway. You can see their Misfortune cast wipes out a large part of our team. Mine cast doesn't get enough kills in order to really trigger her second cast. Also, with no additional damage items, it's just not helping, they're able to get through with a 3-star Vayne and their Misfortune, and we take second place. GG to everyone. Game 4 Augment becomes a really, really tough choice because healing is great, but the ability to completely craft your items might be a little bit better. It's a really tough call between those two because crafting the items specifically are often key, but if you don't have healing somewhere, that might lead to some doom. One trick with Pandora's items, if you want to hold on to a specific item, like in this case a sword, you grab someone on the bench and just put that item on them. That way it won't shift anymore. By the second augment, we have 2 of our key Jinx items and a key Misfortune item. We're starting to get NARs, so we're headed in the right direction. Normally, I like the support augment for Jinx, but since we're able to craft all of the Jinx items absolutely perfectly, I decide to go ahead and get the Jinx specific augment because I'm fairly confident I'm going to be able to get the Spear of Sojin that would make the last Jinx item. And the answer was, of course, yes, I was able to put together all 3 of the key Jinx items, and you'll see just how well it works. She's going to be picking up speed on top of speed on top of speed, and each time she's hitting people, she's gaining health, the whole team is gaining health, and she's helping to carry the team. I've also crafted the perfect Misfortune items. Unfortunately, they're on Vayne and not Misfortune as we head into the final augment. Here, I'm kind of hoping for a healing augment, but it is really, really hard to resist Portable Forge. And there are 2 reasons for that. We could use one of these items if they fit, or because we have Pandora's items, we can let it sit on the bench if it's not exactly what we want and allow it to change if that's our desire. I'd love to have gotten a Mana Zane to go on Misfortune along with the Rage Blade and Jeweled Gauntlet, and then maybe allowed the Spear of Sojin to change, so we're going to let the Death's Defiance make a little swap. And we ended up in a 1v1 against, guess what? Could it be Infinite Sure Shots? Nope. It's Animaniacs with 7 Anima Squad. So they are going to have a lot more power. I tried to set up my Gnar and an Urgot that I brought in to protect Misfortune, because my only chance is going to be her casting and wiping the opposing team out. I've positioned in a way that I'm hoping to go across their entire team, but they're kind of in the same position. So it's really not too beneficial for me. Their Fiddlesticks is able to come in and wreak havoc on my team, and Misfortune gives it a really, really good try, but it's not quite enough, and they edge it out, and it's another second place. So that is the second game in a row that it came down to Animaniacs versus Animaniacs, lest you question the power of this build. We re-roll the first, we see Portable Forge, we're going to go ahead and go for it. I'm always hoping for Mana Zane. Thank you, there it is. Mana Zane on Misfortune will give her a ton of power, because once she casts, she's going to cast again quickly. Now, strangely, this game was being super stingy with the Jinxes, so I went ahead and just was using Lucian as an item holder for Misfortune, as those are going to be my Misfortune items. Second augment, I can't resist the Anima Squad crest, because then I can go to 7, which means I can bring Vayne into this, and I can make Gnar the additional Anima Squad. We get our Misfortune in 6-2, and so we were able to take out Lucian and bring her in, and you will see what I'm talking about. She casts, wipes most of the team, but her mana is going to come back so fast that she casts again, wipes pretty much the rest of the team, and keeps us going forward. Final augment, and this was kind of a tough one because I didn't have a lot of 3-star champs. I could go with Make It Rain and get lots of gold, or go for the shielding and wider cone. I decided to go make it rain because I want to have more power on this team, and I didn't even yet have a 2-star misfortune. So I'm going to need lots of money going forward in order to keep this team strong. I managed to also pick up a prankster emblem, so once again I'm at 7-4. But there is another Animaniacs team in this bunch, and the team I'm against is 6 admin, 6 heart, which, as you know, is insanely strong, especially with a 3-star Sona and 3-star LeBlanc. So we have an Animaniacs team, and then this freak of nature that we are against. Again, we did not get healing this time, and even though the prankster trait is going to help, it is not enough for us to hold up completely. We get knocked out, but the game ends and we get 2nd place. So let's go to the scoreboard. Now, just because I am personally bored with this comp does not mean it's still not strong. Game 1, 1st place. Game 2 was 4th place without the healing. Game 3, Animaniacs versus Animaniacs, 2nd place. Game 4, Animaniacs versus Animaniacs, again, 2nd place. Game 5, 3 teams, 2 of them Animaniacs, and again, 2nd place. So, you know what we do. 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Divide all that by 5, and we get our force score of 2.2, which again is just incredible. This is a viable build. Like I said, I may be bored with it because I've been playing it since the beginning of Set 8. I found it in the PBE on Set 8 and just went, wow, this is really strong, and it just never got weaker. So use this if you want to climb. It's really going to be helpful for you. I promise. It's one of the builds that will get you there. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this video, this series, this season. Lots more videos to come, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.